So, from around the years of 2019 to 2022, there was a specific health event, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, where we had to be isolated from one another. We had to stay as far away from one another as possible. And this definitely did not help me because at that point in time, like I've touched on in my previous video, I was already experimenting with substances that already caused me to isolate myself because I am definitely an addict for sure. And that's what you do when you're an addict. You favor these experiences over everything else in your life. So it causes you to isolate from people, and that specific health event caused me to double down on all those things. And I started experimenting with other things that were not healthy mentally whatsoever. It winded me, and physically, it winded me up in the hospital 3 times. Um, and this was kind of the worst period of my life. Um, because I wasn't able to make the social connection that I didn't even want. But I couldn't get the help that I needed because of this certain period of time, which we all underwent, and I'm sure this was a lot of people's experiences during this time because you do statistically see a massive rise in overdoses during this time. Um, and also, the forced isolation did another thing to me where, what else are you going to do when you're isolated? You're going to just waste your time unless you're a very disciplined person. A lot of other people don't have that mental fortitude to withstand all of the distractions that are thrown in our faces today. So you're going to be online a lot. And when you're online a lot, especially as a young person, you're fed a lot of opinions, and all of these opinions tend to be quite extreme in one way or another, or one direction or another. So I started adopting extremist ideas, not like from a political sense, just, my opinions on culture and women and so forth, which I'm glad to be out of today. Um, and that further fueled division. I'm talking about like culturally and online. That further fueled division, I feel like, because that was kind of really what like hammered in the fact that these kinds of people that promote this kind of extremist thinking and super isolationist thinking, um, where it was prevalent. And that is, it's still like that today. This is my point, is that it completely had an impact on today's society with all these things. And that was definitely my experience for a long time, where I had very jaded opinions on people because I wasn't able to go out and socialize. I wasn't able to interact with people as much because of my own decisions and because of the specific health event. Um, and that really led me down a deep rabbit hole of depression and anxiety, which further fueled me to keep using substances, um, more than just marijuana. And like I said, that ended me up in the hospital a few times. And I'm sure this was the experience for a lot of people generally. Um, and yeah, and especially in the younger generation today, that I'm sure it had even more an effect because especially with a developing brain, I am in Generation Z. I'm talking about, I guess, Generation Alpha is what you call it. The people that were in high school, the people that were in middle school that had to do online school. They had to the only face-to-face interaction they had was with a screen, and that, I can't articulate how that is bad for you, but it's not like it's good for you. Because we're human beings. We're evolved to have face-to-face interactions with people. We're a cooperative, community-based species where we're not individual hunters. We're not like felines where we're individualistic soul things on an island that pursue their own goals, pursue their own meaning. We rely on other people to confirm our beliefs and other things. And when you're only online and the other only people that you interact with are people that are producing content that is extreme, it really affects your view on people and society and culture. And that's what's really fueled a lot of the division then and into this time where we are now, where it's so culturally divisive. It's just not good. It pains me to see that because I I just don't like seeing all the fighting online because it seems just pointless and fruitless. And like I know that you see two people arguing online, if they were face to face, it wouldn't that interaction would be completely different. It's not like they're going to start yelling in each other's faces and saying the same things in person that they are typing. Like, that's not how human beings work. So, and I feel, when I was saying earlier, is with the younger generation, when we're growing up in this period of isolation, this period of online interaction, that's going to have untold effects going into the future. Where I feel like it was already going this way without this particular health event or anything, but this health event during this time period really sped that up. It really accelerated all of that, and what do I think is going to happen with that? I mean, I feel like, especially, this coincides with AI taking over a bunch of jobs. I think there's going to be a plague of meaninglessness. There's going to be people in 10 years who are going to be my age where I'm at today. I've just turned 24, and they're not going to know what's up and down. The only thing that they're going to find meaning is the stuff that they consume online. It's secondhand meaning. That's what that is. It's secondhand meaning. Where they're adopting the ideas of other people, they're adopting the ideas of other people, um, the opinions of other people, and it can't be good. And I feel like another thing is, and this goes back to the division, is you're going to see a lot of distrust, whether that be in the government or social circles or just structures in today's society. And you've already been seeing that, like with the Luigi stuff. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And the CEO of Blackstone currently got, you know, that something happened to them. I don't know what I can or can't say on this, but that's just proof of what I'm talking about, where there's so much cultural, like, angst and division of people that are so fed up, maybe. I'm not saying I'm fed up, but I can completely understand that with the structure of society today, the structure maybe even of government today. And going back to the AI, I feel like when you're going to have millions of jobs that are completely displaced into a sphere where robots do it, not robots, but software does it. What are those people going to do? Well, if you've got your head on straight, you can pursue meaning in another sense. You can pursue meaning in arts or just activities in general. But I feel like for the most part, people are going to fall into what they fell into during the specific health event, which is just meaningless, fruitless activities, whether that be, addiction, whether that be video games or just doom scrolling, which is crazy today. You see that everywhere where people just are constantly, they just become their phone. Um, and that's not going to be healthy, especially, I can't even imagine what the next 10, 20 years are going to look like. I feel like it's just constantly going to be a trend of sedentary lifestyle, isolation, not talking to as many people as you would normally do in the past. And what's that going to do? That's going to completely erode our sense of culture, our sense of identity as a community. And that's further going to lead into unrest, into division. When you see things online, that's fed to you to make you angry, whether that be how the algorithms work or it's manufactured that way. That's a different discussion. But when you see things online that are fed to you to make you angry, to make you engaged with it, because that's what you engage with. You engage with the things that make you angry. It it's just not looking good, the direction that we're going in as a society. But I try to stay optimistic. So I ask myself, like, okay, if I was in this position, which I am, like, how can I better my life? The way that you better your life is you just leverage. Well, what I did really is I leveraged all these fruitless pursuits into something productive. You know, where you can't do that with everything. Like, if you're addicted to meth, you can't leverage that into something productive. Like, you can become a salesman, but that's obviously not productive. That's just anti-productive because you're just spreading that. It's really just a disease. But an example of what I'm talking about is the doom scrolling. What I did is, I saw that I was so entrenched into this online lifestyle of just scrolling, consuming processed content. I'm like, Okay, well, I might as well make this productive. I tried my very hardest to do that. I was making content online on Instagram, just making little brain rot memes or whatever. And granted, that's probably not the best for the overall health of society and our community as a whole. But that's what I did for my own gain, I guess. But that sounds a little bit more selfish than it was because I just wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to have a little to make a little bright spot in people's day, and that ended up being successful. Like I just hit 100,000 followers on Instagram. I make a little bit of money doing that, and I'm trying to take that energy and make it a little bit more productive, a little bit more meaningful in the stuff that I'm doing here. Um, and another thing too, which is I have a little experience with. Well, now I mean I used to play sports and be a lot more physical than I am right now. Is embrace the physical. Like it's not a top down brain thing. Like you're not going to think yourself out of a depression. You have to get your body moving. That's how our bodies are built or designed. You have to get the endorphins going in your brain, which is by moving physically. It's a feedback loop. You work out or you do anything physical. You play sports. That gives your brain that boost of adrenaline, dopamine, and so forth, where you're going to feel better. And I feel like that's kind of the main two things that people are going to have to do, especially in the future with AI, where you might not have a job. Maybe in the next 50 years, universal basic income is going to look like an actual possibility, and it doesn't just look like, a socialist idea. Because where are these jobs going to go? Are people going to just become it's either people are going to lean more into artistic ventures, creative ventures, or people are going to lean into fruitless, waste of time activities. If you find yourself to be in these fruitless, waste of time activities, you know, one, you have to get yourself out of it, and how do you do that? Like I just said, you embrace the physical. Um, and something that because I love video games, and I still play video games, and I try to do it in a healthy manner. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have bad days. Um, but I kind of look at my life as a video game. My life is like a video game. That stupid meme. It's not even a meme. It's just a TikTok song. That's just horrible. But I gamify goal completion. That's what I do. Yeah, and that really motivates me to progress, to keep going forward, to make every day better than the other. And that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to highlight the power of human being, that human beings can persevere, we can get through everything. The power of the mind is paramount.